Hello, and welcome to part 4 of the Math 0362 Final Exam Review. So 27 wants us to solve using the quadratic formula. So what I did was I took the liberty of writing the quadratic formula to the side. Well, be sure to remember it because you won't be able to write it down on a note card or anything. So a is the number in front of x squared, which is 2. B is the number in front of x, which is a 3. And c is the last number, which is just negative 1. So let's use our formula. So it's going to go negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 1, and then everything over 2 times 2. So let's work the inside first. That's the most important part. So working that, 3 squared is 9, and 4 times 2, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, times negative 1 is positive 8, and this adds up to square root of 17. So what you have is negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 17, and on the bottom, 2 times 2 is 4. Well, a little bit of bad news and good news. The bad news is 17 doesn't reduce. The good news is, because it doesn't reduce, we can stop. That is the answer. 28. They'd like us to do it again. But before we can, for quadratic formula to work, everybody has to be on the same side. So let me start by doing minus 2x. So it becomes x squared minus 2x plus 4 equals 0. So a is the number in front of x squared, which is 1. B is the number in front of x, which is negative 2. And c is the last number, which is 4. Let's plug everything in. So you get minus negative 2 plus minus square root of negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4, and all of that over 2 times 1. Again, let's start with the inside. That's the most important part. So negative 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Times 4 is negative 16. So this becomes negative 12. Now, negative 12, it's not perfect, but two numbers that make 12 that I like are 4 and 3. And I love 4 because 4 is perfect. It's 2. So you get 2 square root 3. But because it was negative, it's really 2i square root 3 because the I represents negative. So let's take a look at everything else. Minus negative 2 is positive 2. 2 times 1 on the bottom is 2. And the square root, we just got the answer, 2i3. At this point, notice something interesting about all the 2's. You can divide everything by 2. So what you end up getting is they turn into 1's. So you get 1 plus or minus I square root 3. You don't have to write a 1 in front of I if you don't want to. All right, 29. They're asking for a lot of information here. So the first step, the most important step to this is finding the vertex, which is negative b over 2a. So I can tell you that a is negative 1, b is negative 6, and c is negative 5. Let's make our change. So vertex is going to be minus, no, that's not the color I like. I like blue. So b, that's going to be minus negative 6 over 2a, which is 2 times negative 1. So as a result, 6 over negative 2 equals negative 3. Then what I'd like to do is I'd like to plug negative 3 back into the equation. So it goes minus negative 3 squared minus 6 times negative 3 minus 5. Negative 3 squared is 9, but the negative changes it back to negative 9. 6 times 3, that's going to be positive 18, and then minus 5. This works out to become 4. So the vertex is negative 3 and positive 4. But I need 2 more points. I need 3 points to graph. The easiest way to do this is think of before and after. What do I mean? What number comes before negative 3? Negative 2. And after? Negative 4. Let's plug in negative 2 into our equation. So it's going to go minus negative 2 squared minus 6 times negative 2 minus 5. Negative 2 squared is 4, so negative 4 plus 12 minus 5 equals 3. There's a reason I like before and after. If you do this, the before y and the after y will always be the same. If you don't believe me, go ahead and check. It will be 3. I guarantee you. If you plug in negative 4, the answer will come back 3. Okay. Y-intercept is the last number. What's the last number you see? Negative 5. So the answer is negative 5. Very good. X-intercept is quadratic. And we got our numbers ready, so let's see. Negative 1, negative 6, and negative 5. Let's make it happen. So it's going to go minus negative 6 plus minus the square root of negative 6 squared minus 4, minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 5, and all of that over 2 times negative 1. So let's see, let's work the inside. That's always the trouble part. So 6 squared is 36. 4 times 1 times 5, that's 20. 36 minus 20 is 16, which I like because it's perfect. It's 4. So you're going to get 6 plus or minus 4 over negative 2. If you add, 6 plus 4 is 10. Divide negative 2 means negative 5. That's the first. Then 6 minus 4 is 2. Divide negative 2 makes negative 1. Your second answer. All right, well, I got a graph on the back side, so let's take a look. Let's see what happens. The vertex was most important, and that was at negative 3, 4. So we'll go 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. There you go. Let's see. Let's go back for a moment. And I messed that up. Sorry about that. Let me erase that. It wasn't negative 3, negative 4. It was negative 3, positive 4. Well, let's see what it is. Yeah, it was negative 3, positive 4. So still go 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. But this time go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the point. You also had a point at negative 2, 3. So that's 2 to the left. 1, 2. And 3 up. 1, 2, 3. And you also had a point at negative 4, 3. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 left. 1, 2, 3 up. And this is an upside down U. All right, looks good. Domain. Here's a hint. The domain is always negative infinity to infinity, no matter what. Now the range, that's something different. Notice how this graph goes down. So that means it's going down to negative infinity. But the highest point is right here at 4. So the range is negative infinity to 4. And that's it. So let's take a look at the next question. Again, they want us to do the same thing. And I see that A is 1, B is 4, and C is negative 5. So going through with this, you're going to get negative 4 over 2 times 1. So negative 4 over 2 makes negative 2. Let's plug negative 2 back into our equation. So that's negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative 2 minus 5. So you get 4 minus 8 minus 5. That is equal to negative 9. So negative 2 and negative 9. There's our vertex. All right, before and after. So before negative 2 must be negative 1, and after must be negative 3. I love before and after because it doesn't matter which one we plug in, we're going to get the same answer back. So let's plug in negative 1. So it's negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 minus 5. So that's 1 minus 4 minus 5. Whoops, 1 minus 4 minus 5 is negative 8. So that's going to be negative 8 for both. All right, we'll graph those in a minute. Y-intercept is the last number, and the last number is negative 5, so easy enough. And quadratic formula. So A is 1, B is 4, and C is minus 5. Let's go to our formula and see what happens. So it's going to go negative 4 plus or minus square root 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 5, and all of that over 2 times 1. Again, let's begin with the inside because that's always the trouble part. 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 5 is positive 20. So that works out to be square root of 36, which I love because it's perfect. It's 6. So let's see what we have now. Negative 4 plus or minus 6 over 2. If you add, negative 4 plus 6 is 2. 2 over 2 is 1. That's your first. If you subtract, negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10. Divide by 2 is negative 5. That's your second. So those are your x-intercepts. So let's graph. So your vertex was negative 2, negative 9. So that's 2 left, 1, 2, 9 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right there. Your other point was at negative 1, 8. So that's 1 to the left, but 8 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the third point was negative 3, negative 8. So that's 3 left, 1, 2, 3, and 8 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's another U. So once again, the domain for these problems will always be negative infinity to infinity. The range, the lowest point is at negative 9. But the arrow points up, which means it can go as high as you want. So negative 9 to positive infinity. So that concludes the semester. So I hope this was beneficial for everyone listening today. If you have any further questions, please stop by the Math Resource Center in ESEE 1112, and we can help you get ready for the final exam. I hope you've had a successful semester this year, and good luck on the exam. and hopefully I will see you again either next semester, either in college algebra or statistics. So good luck, and if I don't see you again after you take the exam, then have a great vacation. Thank you, and thank you for tuning in.